When Waite and Genevieve Phillips envisioned their New Mexico home, the Villa Philmonte, it was not only the beautiful Spanish Mediterranean building they planned, but also the surrounding landscape nestled in the northern New Mexico mountains. To bring their vision to life, they would employ Sidney and Herbert Hare, a father and son landscape architect team, who would also design the landscape of the Villa Philbrook, their home in Tulsa. We'll learn more about them in this edition of Artifact of the Week. Landscape architects design attractive and functional public spaces like parks, campuses, gardens, playgrounds, and residential areas, including the locations of buildings, roads, walkways, plants, and trees within these environments. The history of planning beautiful outdoor landscapes can be seen as far back as the ancient Egyptian, Greek, and Roman periods in history. One of the earliest uses of the term landscape architecture was by Scotsman Gilbert Lang Neeson. The term was then taken up by John Claudius Loudon and used to describe a specific type of architecture suited to being placed in designed landscapes. Landscape architecture was the subject of the American designer and theorist Andrew Jackson Downing's 1841 book, A Treatise on the Theory and Practice of Landscape Gardening, adapted to North America. Frederick Law Olmsted and George Oscar gave a different slant to the meaning of landscape architecture, using the term to describe the whole professional task of designing a composition of planting, landform, water, paving, and other structures. Today, landscape architecture is a worldwide profession represented by the International Federation of Landscape Architects. Born in 1860 in Louisville, Kentucky, Sid Hare grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, where he attended public school. After high school graduation, where he studied engineering and photography, he would continue to study engineering, surveying, and horticulture, which would become his first love. One of his early and ongoing passions was the study of fossils. At 17, he was inducted into the Kansas City Academy of Science as an honorary member for his impressive fossil collection. And at 21, he was listed in the city directory as a geologist. In 1881, Sid was hired by a Kansas City engineer's office where he worked with landscape engineer George Kessler. In 1896, he became superintendent of the Forest Hill Cemetery, where he developed new ideas for designing cemeteries as an arboretum and park. In 1902, Hare started his own landscape architecture practice, and in 1910, his son, S. Herbert Hare, became a partner in the firm, which they christened Hare and Hare. Herbert Hare was born and raised in Kansas City and attended Harvard University's School of Architecture, studying landscape planning as one of the first students in Harvard's program. In 1913, the firm attracted the attention of J.C. Nichols because of Sid Hare's association with George Kessler. Nichols hired Hare and Hare to work on the Country Club District in Kansas City, where they would lay out approximately 2,500 acres and design the grounds for many of the private homes. This relationship marked a turning point for the firm, enabling Hare and Hare to add planning at the district scale level to their experience. During World War I, Herbert Hare took a hiatus from the private sector to work for the U.S. government, designing military installations. After the war, he continued his private sector work as a consultant on public park and planning projects, as well as undertaking private commissions for the firm. J.C. Nichols recommended Hare and Hare to Waite and Genevieve Phillips in 1925 for their two homes. Edward Buhler Delk, architect of the Country Club Plaza, was also hired by Waite Phillips for his homes along with the Tulsa Philtower office building. Hare and Hare would incorporate Delk's architectural style into their landscape designs for the Phillipses' projects. The landscape plans became a collaborative effort between Waite and Genevieve and Hare and Hare. The designs were strongly inspired by the Phillips family's European travels and personal preferences. In Waite's biography, Beyond the Hills, Chope Phillips recounted a story about the placement of a tree on the Villa Philmonte lawn and his father's meticulous nature. Waite had the tree dug up and moved multiple times as he determined what would be the perfect spot. When he was finally happy with the location of the tree, The worker who had been moving it smiled. When Waite asked what was so funny, the worker responded that the tree had been moved to the exact spot where it had been originally. Choate noted that his father loved to tell this story on himself. Here in the Villa Philmonte Gallery, we have a display recognizing the contribution of Hare and Hare and several photos on display showing the evolution of the villa's landscape architecture. The villa's archives include the original plans created by Hare and Hare. Hare and Hare designs were implemented in 28 states, including extensive planning in Houston, Texas, and the redesign of Defiance Park in Tacoma, Washington, and Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas. Sid Hare died October 25, 1938, and was remembered as a gentle, scholarly, inquisitive man. After his father's death, Herbert continued working on projects such as government-subsidized housing during World War II and the campus of Kansas State University. He passed away in April 1960. Combined, the lives of father and son encompassed an entire century of enjoying the beauty of the natural world and striving to involve it in our living spaces. Well, that's all the time we have this week. Join us next time as we continue to learn more about the history of the BSA through the collection of the National Scouting Museum and Artifact of the Week.